last phase of introductory chapter in this course, you remember that how we can define, the last question was, how we can define a problem of environmental history. How we can. And the three criteria defined by Donald Hughes. The first one, it's very open methodology, using for example, methods from the natural sciences and the social sciences too. It's very open. The second one, it's space and the time conception. You remember, I hope, that we are looking the space and the time. First is the time. In the last week I spoke about the technology of timing, astronomical experiences, vegetation, liturgical how mechanical clocks, and measuring tools. This is the everyday's technology of timing. But in the academic life, in the science, defined in two forms of the time. The first one, it's a linear, irreversible, and cumulative. And the second one, at the turn of 19th and 20th century, identify a cycle in the historical processes. For example, how changed the time, how changed the prices, economical time series, how changed the salaries, and generally the long time series identify it's a repeating cycle. For example, used in broker, in stock of exchange. And this cycle identified even in the historical process. And this was the last slide. I tried to demonstrate Fernand Braudel secular cycle theory, how changed, how repeated the same process in the past. And Braudel identified in the European history four economic cycle, how unfolded the European economic integration. But if we are looking at the global history, even the global history, we can identify three processes which are linear, follow the same trajectory, irreversible, no way only into the direction of future, and cumulative, accumulate the deeds in the historical past. The first one, of world population. If we are looking, this is the exponential trajectory follow. It's a green line, exponential trajectory. It's mean, for example, a population, a human population, for example, in Africa, 7,000 years ago, reached 5,000. No more, only 5,000 inhabitants leave whole of Africa. It's very near to the extinction, very near to the extinction. On the time of starting date of Christian calendar, it's calculate 200 and 300 million, and at the beginning of 19th century reached the 1 million. On the time of closing year of Second World War reached 2.5 million. At the end of second millennia reached 6 million, and recently estimate, not exactly reliable, but it's quite reliable, how the name is, it's simplification, estimation, it's 8 million. 8 million. My question, my guess, first guess today, according to your opinion, this trajectory will continue or not? It's growth of...
no.
Why?
Well, I don't know the reason. It's a guess.
No, okay. No, it's true. It's true. According to forecasts, demographical forecasts, will stabilize the human population around 12 million. 12, why? Because, if possible, you listen about the demographical transformation theory.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a very short survey. This is the, for example, demographical, it's a time and the rate of fertility. In the traditional time, rate of fertility and the mortality changed around 40 per 1,000. And recently it's changed in a modern time, for example, 5 per thousand. In the traditional time, very high the rate of mortality and the fertility too. It's the scattered line is the fertility and the continuous is a mortality. If higher the mortality, increase the population, is higher the fertility decrease, and higher the fertility, increase the population. This is the first phase. And the second phase, when on the time of Industrial Revolution and the Agrarian Revolution and the Medical Revolution, very quickly started decrease the mortality. But the rate of fertility left very high. Why? Because agrarian society, the children, it's a human investment, human capital, no insurance. That the survival of the parents necessary, moreover, very high the traditional experience, the mortality. Half of the birth, it's lost. It's each second baby died before the 10th anniversary. Therefore, it's somehow it's over securing of fertility system necessary double birth for half survival. Therefore, this is the second phase. Very high the fertility and decrease the mortality. This is the 19th century in Europe. This is the great increase, majority of European nations. It's increased very, very quickly. And the third phase, when started stabilized the mortality and the fertility decreased very quickly. Why? Because majority of population transformed to the urban life, to the industrial activities, where not so high important the work power of the children. Therefore, it's transformed. For example, stories of my father. It's had 6 brother. It was, for example, elementary school, a great conflict because the most important period of agrarian works necessary visiting to the elementary school, and which is the good option because for the peasant household necessary go to the field, but had a mandatory visiting to the elementary school. Therefore, majority of his brothers interrupt his studies. Why? Because the interest of family was much powerful. And in the modern time, much better form the career education. Therefore, for example, children became some form of investment to the future. No a real work over in the household. Therefore, decrease the fertility, moreover, improve the medical condition, decrease the rate of mortality, not necessarily oversave the system. Okay, this is the third. And the fourth one, stabilized in the modern time around 5 per thousand. This is the transformation. 1, 2, 3, 4. And each of global population, recently, there are in the second, third, and the fourth phases. Recently, a traditional condition, high mortality, high fertility, exists on the peripheral area, not typical. Recently, the global population is on the second, third, and the fourth phase of demographical transformation. Therefore, the population will stabilize around 12 million, according to forecast. Okay, the second one, energy per capita. Energy per capita, which is the energy on the early phase of human evolution. The somatical energy, no more. The second phase, after the agrarian revolution, drought power of domesticated animal, horses, cattle, camels, and the simple engine, windmill and the water mills, no more. But before industrial revolution, 70% of energy came from the somatical energy. Therefore, in the traditional time, the most important indicator of the power state, the population. The population. Because the energy, 70% of energy came from the somatical energy. And only the 30%, any other draw power of domesticated animal, the simple engine like water and the windmill. Therefore, the traditional time, the most important source of energy, the people, the somatical energy of people. And in the modern time, in consequence of fossil fuels, oil and the nuclear energy and the coal, it's a jump, a great jump, because the dimension of the energy, it's increased and grew unbelievable manner. Recently, it's possible, I told about in former lecture, two pillars are under the modern civilization. Cheap water and the cheap energy. And without cheap power and cheap energy, we are not able to survive. Look at the cheap water. We are using in the toilet, drinking water. And the cheap energy, we are not able to survive without electric supply. Each of devices, for example, the light and the mobile and the smartphone and everything, it's working with electric supply. I remember introduced electric supply to my village on the year of my birth. It's happened 1963. And I remember generation of my parents socialized before the electric supply. And had an interruption of electric supply, nobody's surprised. Because this generation used oil lamps and socialized through the light of oil lamps. And basically different manner. But if we are looking, the basic problem, increase of energy supply. You can probably know the problem of AI, using huge quantity of energy. And recently this is the problem, how we can optimize AI using and how we can decrease the rate of using of energy, because recently the early phase of AI used unbelievable, and there is for example some alarm that if continue on the same rate the using of AI, the energy production won't enough for serving the AI applications. Okay, but it's not problem of our generation. And the last one, information. Information which was the limit of information before the civilization. The memories. And I remember my parents' generation came from before the written information. It's a peasant. And I was very surprised how much information able to memorize, because the socialization wasn't contain the writings. No writing. Memory. Saving the memories. And it's possible, you know the story of Celtic religion, Druids. No? A Celtic people had a very special religious system. And the priests of Celtic people named Druids. And no written version of the Druids' religion. Each priest memorized. And when killed the last Druids, expired the knowledge. It's very fragile situation. But after appearance of writing system, the limit wasn't the memory, but it's possible to write down information. And the next step, the next milestone was printing. It's appeared as everything in China, and a little bit later, in the middle of the 15th century, in Europe. It's a Gutenberg innovations. It's a NEMA Gutenberg Galaxis. It's a new form of information making and information proliferation. And recently we are living in the global electronical making of information. And I remember the first journal, scientific journal, it was the American Chemical or Physical, I'm not sure, it's a natural scientific journal. At the beginning of 21st century, declared new printing version, no printing version. After the 2001, only electric version published on the internet. It's a new version. And recently, unbelievable quantity of information. It's upper and lower. It's a how the name is a dark web. Proliferate unbelievable quantity of information. I remember I socialized on the time of state socialism. It's very limited the information. And for example, it was a very special skill reading the article. And it's possible you know this term, reading between the line. For example, it's a only message on a hidden message. Understand? For example, how change the words, the list of the words, how form the sentences, and try to understand. Because very limited information. Probably you know the term of Kremlinology. Kreml, this is the central part of the Red Square in Moscow. And who specialized to understand and analyze the communication of Soviet Union? Linguistics. Because very limited information, read the Pravda, and try to understand decoding, recoding, how change the political structure. But recently, other problem, so high quantity of information we are receiving, the basic problem, the selection. For example, in my science, I'm using the technology that I had a reliable person. And I never watching and listening any other. Only 6-7 reliable persons. In the, for example, political question, scientific question, and any other. Okay, information. Follow the same trajectory. Good. Look at the space. If we are looking at the space, open, for example, a historical map, we can identify at least 3 information. The distance. If we are looking at a map, for example, about Germany, about Czechia, on the corner of map there is a scale. How we can transform a real distance, the distance on the map. The second one, a geomorphology. For example, this is a map about Czech Republic. A green area, it's a plain area. And a gray area, it's a hilly area, and the brown area, a mountain area. And it's a very special skill, reading a map, because a map is a coded information. And finally, for example, in the case of Germany, a different provinces and different principalities, because Germany, it's unified only in the 19th century. It's possible I told you a story. I lived together with East German guy in the student hostel. I told this story, no? Probably he worked in the Stasi because traveled back in the 80s, and I asked him, which is your job? I don't want to speak about and with decoding, a mathematician was. Okay, and I remember in the 80s had a space program. In the Soviet Union, in the space program, launched Eastern astronauts to the space. One German, one Hungarian, one Bulgarian, And I remember that I told to my fellow that you listen great news that one German astronaut on the space, and Bernd Radke, Bernd answered to me, it's not German, only Saxon. Therefore, there is a hierarchy in Germany. You came from?
Not Rhine-Westphalia.
Northern part. It's upper and lower part of the hierarchy.
The
Upper?
yeah.
Upper. Yeah, because the Prussian is the highest one. The highest one. Because it's very famous, because the lowest one are Saxon and the Bavarians, to my memories.
Knows the Bavarian.
Historically, because it's an agrarian area.
Yeah.
In the 19th century, for example, it was a famous story, Chancellor Bismarck, who organized the unification of Germany, read, it's possible, didn't tell a story about the Bismarck? No, I don't remember. Bismarck read a book of Darwin about origin of species. And one of the basic problems in the history of origin of species, there is a human, Homo sapiens, and the apes, gorillas, and the chimpanzee, and any others. And there is a missing link between the Homo sapiens and the apes. And Bismarck, in the great audience, spoke about it. He was very proud. I read the famous book of Darwin, and I understood who is the missing link between the apes and the humans, the Bavarians. Because the Prussian disdain the Bavarian. Recently, it's very rich. Munich is the richest city of whole of Germany, but historically it was an agrarian. It's an agrarian area. Okay, a political structure. This is German for the political. Okay, look at the other one. If we are looking at the space in geographical approach, we can separate different geographical sphere. Lithosphere, it's a stone cover around Earth, the globe. A lithosphere is 100 or 150 kilometers. The pedosphere, this is the soil. Unbelievable importance, the soil. Why? Because whole of human survival based to the soil. Agriculture used as soil. And if we looking in global average the soil, the size of soil, half meter. And the majority of soil recently is under chemical procedure, using a fertilizer and pesticides, chemotherapy, under chemotherapy, majority. But it's a great problem. Why? Because without chemotherapy, no bread for 4 million people. Without fertilizer, no bread for 2 million people. It's great dilemma, which is the good decision in this case. Okay, hydrosphere, the global ocean and the sweet water, biosphere, each animal and the plants, atmosphere, and the next one, anthroposphere. You know which is the anthroposphere? Anthropo is a human, sphere is a sphere. For example, this building, asphalted surface, everything which constructed by human. And recently the anthroposphere is growing continuously. Because we are socialized, living in artificial environment. For example, if taking us to the Amazonia, we are not able to survive even one night, because each of our skills, it's developed to the developed and cultural environment. And the last one, the noosphere. Noosphere means intellectual sphere. Covering the earth, recently it's identified to internet. There is an intellectual sphere covering whole of the earth. Okay, the next one, if we are looking at the space, ecological space. ecological space, ecosystem. Very important peculiarity of the ecological space, no hierarchy. Because, for example, in geography, there is a micro-region, meso-region, macro-region, like a matryoshka doll. You know, it's a Russian doll, it's a small, larger, take one to other. Majority of discipline thinking according to logic of matryoshka doll. Small, middle, macro. But in ecology, each ecosystem, it's a unit, no hierarchy. Maybe one ecosystem, a puddle on the pavement and whole of globe. And finally, the mental space. You listened about the mental space? Mental, it's our memories about the space, which is the peculiarity of the memories about the space. For example, this is the border case, this global map published in Australia, which is the core area of Australia. Europe is right corner, United States is the left corner. Because Australia, this is the core area. But look at the real mental space. The mental space had two peculiarities. The first peculiarity is a selectivity. We are not remember each of information about our physical environment. For example, in Chicago, made the first mental map. The mental mapping is very simple procedure. Take one white sheet and draw your memories. For example, from working place to logic. And majority, a very important experience, that majority of physical information, the brain not memorize. Only the crucial, for example, crossroads, bus station, for example, railway station, when necessary making decision. Turn right, turn left. Any other, lose it. Why? Because using the brain, it's very expensive. Very, very expensive. For example, energy using our body, 26% used by brain. It's very, very expensive. Therefore, you have experience about, for example, it's not so interesting lecture, brain switch on the standby. It's normal, because it's very expensive using the brain. Therefore, our memories, it's very selective. The second one, emotion. If happens some good thing with you, it's a good emotion. For example, I had one part of Szeged, one accident. It's a small accident with my car, and I approaching to my stomach is up because I have a bad memory. Therefore, emotion. Or other example, for example, in Chicago, distributed in elementary school pictures about different part of Chicago in United States, and ask the pupils writing emotion beside the picture. And for example, one building with swimming pool, middle class pupil wrote that happiness, and immigrant hate. Because looking the swimming pool from other side of the fence. Therefore, the emotion, very important on the mental map. Okay, look at the mental map about Paris. Did you visit in Paris? No. I suggest you excellent place. My favorite large city in Europe is Paris. It's Paris because my first foreign language was French, and the French people never would like to communicate any other languages. Therefore, if somebody visiting in Paris, very useful speaking in French. Okay, and I enjoy it because it's a 10 million. It's a real great global city. For example, Budapest, which is the capital of Hungary and the largest one, it's a regional city. It's large but regional. The influence is limited around the Carpathian Basin, a little bit to the Balkanic area, but Paris is a global city, and it's very interesting. For example, feeling the rhythm of the life. in Paris. And there is a very deep cultural tradition. And until the modern time, the French was for example, until the last third of the 20th century, the French was the language of intellectuals. Recently not, but in the 19th century, look at which is the official language of postal service, French, which was the language of diplomacy, French. Recently not, it's a global lingua franca, is English, but historically the French was the language of culture. For example, one Hungarian author wrote Vogue by foot to Paris. It was a great performance because would like to approach step by step the capital of global culture. But it's happened in the first half of 20th century. Other studies, okay, look at Paris. Ask a little bit more than 300 inhabitants of Paris draw his spatial memories. The winner is a Seine River. It's cutting two parts a Seine River. Therefore, majority who are living in Paris met with the Seine River. This is the winner. The second one, outskirt of Paris, because it's very expensive living in the downtown. Therefore, the inhabitant living in the outskirts. And the third one, it's a jump a little bit lower. It's an Étoile, Arc de Triomphe. It's constructed by Napoleon at the end of Champs-Élysées, and it's a little bit more than 60% of people who participated in the experiment draw in the right place. Notre Dame, recently reconstructed after the disaster, and the Tour Eiffel, and the sixth one, Bois de Boulogne. You know something? Why so important? Bois is a forest. It's a forest near to Paris. It's the outskirts of the Paris. Why so important?
For the air condition, maybe, or for resources to make some capital.
Very difficult to solve this problem. No. This is the core area.
Free time activities.
Somehow, it's a core area of prostitution.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's a shopping center of prostitution. Each needs had a service for that. And why taking to this list? Because in the experiment participated half women and half men. Who are the consumer of prostitution? Generally a man, a middle class man. And if we are looking, for example, intensity of information, 50% men and 49.1% not only knew the location of Bois de Boulogne, but was able to draw in the right place. Therefore, if we are looking, this is the most intensive information because the potential consumer, almost each of them, knew the location. Okay, good. We close the introduction, look at the case studies. A case study is about interaction between physical environment and society in the historical past. But, very important, divide the time dimension of interaction. Because basically different, the nature of interaction, it's unfold short term, 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, some month. It's a short term interaction. Middle term interaction, it's maybe more years. For example, the story of our course unfold in short term. It's half year, expired. We started this course in September and we'll close in January. Half year. It's historically a short term. A middle term, for example, your university study. This is a middle term. It's 3, 4, 5 years long. And long term, like demonstrate why the time cycle of Hermann Rödl. Therefore, if we analyze interaction between physical environment and society, very important divide a short and a longer term. Look at the short term first. Short term interaction, it's very, sorry. I hope this one. Okay, this is the short term. Sorry. A short term is very simple. Why? Because everything is very simple. Very, very simple. One, for example, impact, one reflection, two. Look at, for example, Mongol invasion. Recently, there is the Hungarian movies. It's a very, very bad movie about the Mongolian invasion. Mongolian invasion, one of the Mongolian empire, founded by Genghis Khan, probably you know his name. It's very interesting, and there is a lot of contradiction, because very interesting the life, the biography of him. You know his biography?
No.
Not important. It's a Mongolian story. He was a son of one tribal leader, a leader of one tribe. It's a Khan, a local Khan. And enemies of his father, took a military campaign and killed his parents, killed his father, and had to escape from the assault of the rival tribe. And finally, he caught him, and he was during his childhood a slave, and escaped from the tribe and escaped to the mountain area and became, according to modern term, a guerrilla, a free warrior, and organized around him a troop, a military troop, and step by step became a political and military leader, organized his army according to very modern rules. No meaning of background, no meaning of familiar origin. If everybody might became general of army, everything depends on the performance. A little bit same story like happened with Napoleon. For a simple shepherd became a leader of army. No any other information divide the life guided the life of soldier and leader of army of Genghis Khan. Only the capacity, intellectual and physical capacity. It's very modern, like for example in modern enterprises there is a simple people, theoretically anyway, might be the general or might be a director whole of the enterprises. Therefore, everybody based to the performance. Because in the classical feudal society, who became the leader? Who came from the family of prince and family of nobility, and a simple shepherd, no chance for it's moving to the top of society. But Genghis Khan increased the efficiency and everything based to the efficiency, organizing of his army. And not by chance, history of Mongolian Empire, it's divided according to military campaign. And the third military campaign organized against Europe. And on the first step, make a victory against the Kiev Principality, and later organized invasion against Poland and Hungary. Mongolian invasion decided in the court Great Khan in 3035, and the invasion performed 1241. Hungarian king named Béla I, and the leader of Mongolian invasion named Tubatu Khan. And very interesting, a Hungarian king received information about the plan of invasion, because a Hungarian tribes on the time of conquest of Carpathian Basin on the 9th century came from the Ural Mountain. The Magna Hungaria, the old Hungary, was on the southern part of Ural Mountain. Therefore, it's a deep tradition on the Hungarian memories and the Hungarian history that our relatives living in Eastland. And one Hungarian Dominican Friar Julian, decided in the middle of in the 13th century, travel and find the other Hungarians living in east in the Volga River area, and traveled through the Black Sea and found Hungarians approximately here. And not so far the Hungarian language of the Eastern Hungarian and the Western Hungarian, and was able to communicate. It was a Christian mission and would like to Christianize the Eastern Hungarians, but from Eastern Hungarian received information that planned invasion against Europe are Great Khan. Turn back to Hungary, and try to preparing for the invasion by Hungarian king, but the crucial battle located northeastern part of Hungary, the Hungarian king lost. No chance for winning the battle, no chance for victory. Why? On the contemporary military history, the best army was the Mongolians, and well trained and continuously was in the practice, and the feudal Hungarian army no chance for survival. And the contemporary documentary sources and the chronicles wrote the Hungarian kingdom disappeared and collapsed. It was a great disaster. And the plain area, half of population died. It was a very cruel Mongolian military ethic was, who somebody had opposition, no option, no any chance for finding a compromise, no, killed. For example, the story of Kiev. Kiev was the greatest city in eastern part of Europe with 20,000 inhabitants. 20,000 inhabitants. And according to Mongolian military ethic, ask capitulation once, no more, only once. If didn't capitulate, no any negotiation. And after the conquering of Kiev, the original population was 20,000 inhabitants and survived 800. Any other killed. It's Mongolian military ethic, killed. A little bit same happened in the plain area, half of population killed. One good news from this disaster, that the Hungarian king survived the battle and escaped to the coastal area of Adriatic Sea. Survived. Because a little bit a feudal empire, a feudal state functioned like, the Gothic cathedral. There is a closing stone. If take out the closing stone, the roof is down. A little bit same the position of the king. If king kill or happen something, a lot of candidates appear that I would like to be a king, and sliding down to the civil war, the empire or the country. Okay, But why interesting this story for us? Because the Danube River here, this is the Danube River, frozen over. Frozen over. And the Mongolians use a stratagem. You know which is the stratagem? It's a trick. It's a trick somehow. Left a huge cattle herd, lot of cattle, on the left side of the Danube River, and the Hungarian soldier, other side of frozen river, looking. No any shepherd. Okay, walking through the river, a frozen river. It's a safe path, and the Mongolian sentinel looking which is the safe, and follow them, and invaded to the Transdanubian area and destroyed not so deeply like happened in the plain area, but it's destroyed even the Transdanubian. Why interesting for us? Because the following spring, whole of the Mongolian army moved to the direction of Balkanic Peninsula and turned back to Mongolia. Look at this situation. Very cold winter, Mongolian invasion. If no Mongolian invasion, only cold winter, no, some people frozen. If there is a Mongolian invasion, but no so harsh winter, the Danube River didn't frozen over, therefore no chance crossing through the river. Therefore, a Transdanubian area without climate anomaly had a survival to this age of invasion. Because the following April turned back the Mongolians. Therefore, for Transdanubian population became a disaster. It's a parallel situation. In Mongolian invasion and harsh winter when frozen over the river, which made a way for cross through the river a Mongolian troops. It's simple situation. Anomaly, climate anomaly, invasion, and interacting, and was a reason, a double interaction reason to the destruction of Transdanubian area. Okay, look at the second one, the story of French Revolution. French Revolution, a little bit, this is a middle class. Calculate, if we are looking the story, French Revolution started 1789. But if we are looking the agrarian history before the French Revolution, disaster followed disaster. Very hot summer, extremely cold winter and drought summer, fodder failure during the springtime, drought is summer, very cold winter, and recon and calculate how many years happened between 83 and 89. 7 years. 7 years. It's a magical 7 years. Why so magical? Why so magical in 7 years? You know this biblical story. Moses. Moses. It's solved the problem. No, Moses. It's it's other biblical guy. Joseph. He sold by his brother, moved to Egypt, and he became a member of court of Pharaoh. And the Pharaoh had a dream. 7 thin cattle came from the Nile, and 7 large cattle came from the Nile. Follow each other. You don't know this story. No problem. This is my job, that's telling the story for you. And Joseph, who saw the dream, which is the meaning, the dream of Pharaoh. And the solving of dream of Pharaoh, that 7 rich harvests followed by 7 bad harvests. And the consequence of that, during the 7 rich harvest year, It's stocking huge quantity of fodder, huge quantity of meals, and huge quantity of edible materials. And saving large stocks survive a 7 bad harvest. Why is so important the 7 bad harvest? Because the conservation technology is very bad in the traditional time. How we can conserve? For example, the most making a hard cheese is conservation technology. And the highest efficiency of the conservation technology, eating with animal. For example, cereals, wheat and rye convert to meat. This is the conservation. And for example, killing animal in the traditional time opened the conserve. Because the animal body was the longest version of the conservation. And the upper limit of conservation is 7 years. 7 years. If 7 years follow 1 year to other, continuously, better, the agrarian society collapsed. This is the upper limit of survival. What happened before the French Revolution? Probably you know the story. Use the guillotine, it's very efficient device of the killing the people. Guillotine. And it's also very cruel. Killed huge number. Why? Because a traditional agrarian society collapsed. No rules, only survival. One guiding force, survival. Okay. Irish potato famine. You know this story? Irish potato. Ireland, no problem, my job. Open the way for this direction. Did you visit in Ireland?
No.
No, okay. Interesting place. Ireland was a colony of England. 3 Celtic countries are around England. It's Scotland, Wales and Ireland. Wales integrated to very early, even the Middle Ages, to England, and recently and historically, Wales. This is the province of the first prince of the royal family, Prince of Wales, for example. Recently, it's a William, Prince of Wales. It's indicator of deep integration. The second one, Scotland. Scotland made alliance with England at the beginning of 18th century. And Ireland was a colony, a real colony. It's in Ireland formed a truncated society. A truncated society means that normal traditional society described according to pyramid, a pyramidal system. This is the position of king, and the nobility, and the bourgeoisie, and the majority is a peasantry. When colonized Ireland, it's cut down the upper part. And Ireland left a peasant society, who was Catholic, and the Irish was a peasant. And upper part of society, it's Protestant, Scottish or English. This was a very deep border between lower and upper part of society. And majority of estate was on the hand of Irish and English, not Irish, Scottish and English landlords. And for the Irish peasant had a very tiny estate. Therefore, when arrived the potato to Ireland, proliferated and developed a monoculture. Why? Because the potato carrying capacity sixfold higher than the wheat and any form of cereal, sixfold higher. And but geographical discoveries had bad consequences. Look at, for example, COVID-19. Not only people traveling one part to other, but the plants, animals, and the epidemics. Similarly, And in 1846 arrived infection, fungi infection, Phytophthora infestans. And the potato harvest rotten, and started a great hunger in Ireland. Why? Because from the upper part of society, Scottish and English landlords exported the cereals. And the local people who had a tiny estate, Irish people, it's shortage and it's a underfeeding, quantitative and qualitative you know which is the difference. Quantitative underfeeding, not enough calories, qualitative underfeeding, not enough trace element, vitamin and any others. And each of them proliferated and started epidemics. And the population of Ireland from before the Irish potato famine, it's unfolded between the second half of the 40s, decreased from 8.4 million, less than 6 million. Half of that died in typhus and different epidemics. Half of them emigrated to United States, for example, in the district of Brooklyn, for example, this was an Irish area, emigrated to Australia and emigrated to Scotland. And I don't know which is the rate of interest for football, soccer, but it's possible you listen about Celtic Rangers, no? In Scotland, I opened a new windows for the global sport. In Scotland, there is a great football team, two great football teams. The first one, Glasgow Rangers, and the other one, a Celtic. A Glasgow Ranger, a local Protestant football club. And the Celtic, the color of Celtic is a green, it's Irish immigrants. Therefore, because immigrants necessary some institution of integration, and for example, appearance of the local virtual life. A little bit same situation which happened in Spain. It's possible you listened about the Barcelona, FC Barcelona. Okay, it's a Catalonians, not Spanish, Catalonians. A little bit same situation, Athletic Bilbao, a Basque local identity, construct around, for example, a famous coach was in Barcelona, Johan Cruyff. Cruyff, it's a Dutch football player and later coach, and he declared that FC Barcelona not a club, it's an army of Catalonia. Therefore, in the virtual life, in the symbolic life, it's very important. And look at, for example, Hungarian football clubs. Hungarian football clubs, for example, who won the most first league championship, it's a Ferencváros. It's an old name, Franzstadt. One district of Budapest, which was bilingual, German and Hungarians. Therefore, a Ferencváros founded an ambitious German minority in Budapest. And which club was the rival of him? A football club which founded Jews. Therefore, it's very surprising. A Hungarian league, first league, dominated, Premier League, dominated the football club of two ambitious minorities, German and Jews. And the Hungarian national teams formed players of German and Jewish minorities. It's very interesting because looking at it not only for sport reason, but somehow a football club and the sport club are a possibility for demonstrate the power and to demonstrate the assimilation ambitions of minorities. Okay, turn back. Irish potato, why interesting? because a proliferation for fungi, because there are three forms of infection. It's a virus, bacteria, and the fungi, which is the ideal condition of the fungi. It's a wet and warm condition. This is the triggering effect. And this year arrived the Phytophthora infestans before it's 45, but launched the epidemics only 1 year later, because the triggering effect was a wet and warm weather. Therefore, arrived the fungi, but the launching of disaster necessary to create one optimal weather and launch interaction between them and overpopulation. And the last one, the story of Second World War. Probably you know the story about the Plan Barbarossa. Plan Barbarossa was a plan of invasion of Wehrmacht during 41-42 into the direction of Soviet Union. It was a well-planned military campaign, and the target and the goal of invasion reaching the Ural Mountain, and invasion analyzed by Yehuda Naiman, Hungarian-born meteorologist. József Naiman was original name of him, analyzed weather and the casualties of invasion. And very interesting, the short version, between October of 41 and the May of 42, this is the list of German army. 140,000 died in the battle, 40,000 disappeared, no information, and 115,000 starved with cold. And if we calculate, for example, this list, the same proportion of the lost soldier of German army was on the side of general winter, a general winter. Why? Because the cold winter, it's very typical in Germany, not Germany, in Russia, and not the same like in Central Europe. And the cloth, the military cloth, is optimized to the Central European winter weather, which didn't function. A lot of movie made about, for example, Enemy on the Gate. It's about the Stalingrad battle, that not optimal the weather of the German army for the cold winter. The same proportion. And why interesting this story? Because stop the invasion in consequence of very harsh winter. Each of winter of Second World War was very harsh. For example, the siege of Budapest happened 44-45. It was very harsh. And for example, in the zoo of Budapest, only two animals survived. Any other killed or ate. Because it's very long siege, 100 days. And starvation, it's ate the animals, no other option. Only two animals. Camel, no, it's very simple to understand. A camel, it's very durable animal. But other one, it's very surprising. Hippopotamus, hippopotamus. Why? It's a tropical animal. But in Budapest, there is a tectonic line. A lot of warm well, this natural warm well, flow into the basin of Hippopotamus and didn't move from the basin and survived. Didn't move. And nobody would like to eat of him. Okay, but look at this story. It's very successful invasion, which stopped in consequence of harsh winter. Moreover, this is the winter when happened invasion of Japan army against the United States, which was the It's very late. Okay, and it happened 7 December. Then the Japan fleet, it's make invasion Pearl Harbor. Sorry, it's a little bit late. Pearl Harbor. It's attack Pearl Harbor. Why so important? Because on that time China was under control of Japan army. Therefore, Soviet Union, it was a great fear that two direction of invasion, from direction of China, from direction of Germany, it's closed the siege around Soviet Union. And when 7 December 41, Japanese army attacked Pearl Harbor, is declared that no danger from direction of China. And the Siberian army moved to European front. And if you remember, for example, the story of Stalingrad, which army won the Battle of Stalingrad? The Siberians. A little bit more durable for the cold weather, compared with any others. Okay, why interesting? Critical situation and climate anomaly. And the climate anomaly moved other direction, the historical processes. Okay, short terms. Short terms. It's closed and sorry. Yeah, order the short terms. Okay, almost this is the last slide. Look at the longer, middle or long duration story. A long duration story. If we are looking at the human evolution, we can calculate with two actors. One actors a physical environment, we can simplify Earth, and the other one are humankind, evolution of humans. If looking at the Earth, some general information about the Earth. Earth is the largest of terrestrial planet in the Sun system. The planet formed approximately 4.54 billion years ago. Highest density, highest surface gravity, strongest magnetic fields, and the fastest rotation. If we are looking at the chemical composition of the Earth, the highest one is iron. But I ask you attention, the second one, oxygen. Not by chance, we are living oxygen-based environment. Not by chance, the second highest probability of appearance on the Earth's oxygen. And I bolded the sulfur because the first form of the life, not oxygen-based, a sulfur-based, 3.8 billion years ago was. Okay, we are living in the third atmosphere and it's a simple general information about ice and liquid water came with asteroids, comets and the trans-Neptunian object, protoplanets and so on. So on the surface of the Earth, majority of water, saline water, and only 2.5 is a fresh water, and the majority of fresh water currently on ice. Okay, it's a general information, elementary school, geographical book you can see. We are living in the third atmosphere, nitrogen, oxygen, argon and carbon dioxide and water vapor. The first was made from the same material, same elements like from the sun, helium and hydrogen. A little bit later, it's a warm age of the warm Earth, carbon dioxide, ammonia, nitrogen, vapor vapor. We are living after appearance of oxygen. It's named a great oxidation even when appeared the first bacteria and later plants was able to photosynthesis. And we are living in the global sum of the biosphere, in the global sum of gas systems. And this is the timeline of evolution. It's very simple, only very important survey somehow.
3 billion years ago appeared the photosynthesis, 500 million years of fishes, 475 land plants, 20 million years the mammals, and 2.5 million years ago became important actor of evolution Homo. We will continue in the next week with the human evolution and the anthropogenesis. Thanks for your attention. You will receive the gadget of most active student of the course.
No, but
Thanks a lot for your attention.